All right, hello guys. Welcome to our next lesson for the coverage for our third examination for the G7 or the Art Appreciation. Shall here to skin to you our topic or lesson from the self-instructional manual or module. Okay, we are here. The four unit learning outcomes. At the end of the unit, you're expected to first gain knowledge about music as a kind of performing arts. Second, create your own song with musical background for a musical performance. Third, gain knowledge about dance as a kind of performing arts. And lastly, form an evaluation based on the sample video that will be given. Okay, first let's just have an introduction with music. So first is the musical art. So music is the art of combining sound of voices or instruments to achieve the beauty of form of expression of emotion. It is a function of the engagement of codes or orders by the note complexes of which the musical event is compromised. It is an art that, in one guise or another, permeates every human society, and also a Protean art. It lends itself easily to alliances with words, as in song, and with physical movement, as in dance. So throughout the history, music has been an important adjunct to ritual and drama and has been credited with the capacity to reflect and influence human emotion. And lastly, popular culture has consistently exploited these possibilities most conspicuously today by means of radio, film, television, musical theater, and the internet. So for me, music is part of my life. So since I can say that music is really a best medicine to me when I feel anxious or depressed or I am feeling sad. So I will just turn on to music to distress, um, eliminate those stress that I feel, to meditate myself. So I really love listening to music, even though I am frustrated singer because I also love to sing and I also love dancing since when I was in grade school up to high school. So I am a dancer. No, I'm just a dancer. I also love bodily movements. That is to dance with this rhythm of the music. So in different regions, they have also a music. Like for example in Africa. So African music in the past been originally linked to specific ethnic groups. So the individual musicians, his style and creativity have always played an important role. So in Africa, um, their music is part on their ethnicity or their ethnic group, right? So there are some material sources for the study of the African music history includes the archaeological and other objects, pictorial sources like rock paintings, petroglyphs, book illustrations, drawings, and paintings, or it could be oral historical sources, written sources like the traveler's accounts, field notes, inscriptions in the Arabic and in African and the European language, some musical notations, sound recordings, photographs, and motion pictures, and the videotape. So that is how African music is uh, played in their country. Another one is the Oceanic music and the dance. So the dance and the music and dance traditions of the indigenous peoples of the Oceania, in particular for the Melanesia, Micronesia, Polynesia, New Zealand, and the Australia. So those countries belong to the Oceania na continent. So they have this music, and then I observed some of their music. So the Kiwi music or the New Zealand and Australia. I watched the eyewitness documentary about New Zealander music. So they have this strong sound, but it is well developed on their culture and their ethnic groups also. Like the Polynesian dance, it is very fast. Like uh, compared to a Hawaiian dance, which the dancers, Polynesian, are swinging their waist or their hips very fast. That is also make them very strong, or as you observe is they are very angry, which is part of their performance. The third is the Western music. Music produced in Europe, as well as those music derived from the European from the ancient times to the present day. So there are the Mesopotamian, Egyptian, and Hebrew nations among others, and it evolved political, social cultures that were absorbed by the conquering Greeks and in turn by the Romans, who introduced elements of the Mediterranean music to much of the Western Europe. So the Western music are more related to the from the past or the ancient uh, people or the Greek people, right? So Greece is from a Western country, or it is a European countries, like for example the Mesopotamian, the Egyptian, and the Hebrew. The fourth is the Central Asia. It is a flowered along centuries old caravan routes, like linking the Middle East with China and India via what is often referred to as Turkestan, the vast region extending from the Caspian Sea to the Xinjiang region of the northwestern China. So in the Central Asia, or in the largest continent, which is the Asia, it also focused on the largest populated country, which is the China and India. So they contributed large impact on the Central Asian music. Also, another is the Islamic music. So, from the word Islamic, so the period of the Islamic music begins with the advent of the Islam about 616 CE. So, from the main contribution on this musics are those from the Islam. Also, important contributions by the Persians, Byzantines, Turks, Imagzigan or the Berbers, and then the Moor. So those are the pre-Islamic Arabian music from those contribution. Fifth is the Native America. So Native American trace the ultimate origin of their traditional music to the time of the creation, when specific songs or musical repertoires were given to the first people by the creator, by the spirit beings in the mythic past. So in the Native American music, they are focusing, or they are yeah, they are basing from the first people by the creator and also by the spirit beings in the mythic past. So yan yung paniniwala din nila. Okay, well, here on our nation, so the Southeast Asian music. So the a general musical division exists between the urban and the rural areas of the Southeast Asia. So those living in the city and those living in the provinces have different kinds of music. Like for example, in the urban centers comprises the islands of the Java and Bali in Indonesia, and places in the Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar, where the big ensembles of gong families play for court and state ceremonies. So you're familiar with gong, di ba? That is a instrument na parang there is a large metal and then pinupukpok siya and then tutunog siya, yun siya. And also in the rural areas include other islands and remote places where smaller ensembles and solo instruments also play a simpler music for the village feasts, in ceremonies and daily activities. Also, we have here in our country in the Philippines, a ritual procession on the headwaters of the Borneo, Malaysia, a drinking ceremony in the jungles of the Palawan in the Philippines, which a feast in the uplands of the Luzon. So in here in our country, we have also different musical instruments that we're uh, playing. So by the way, in my elementary days or grade school, so I am one of the member of Rundalia. So you're familiar with Rundalia. So I play the instrument laud. So one of other instruments are the banduria. So I have one of other classmates or friends that in the band one or Banduria one, and then band two or the Banduria two, and then band one. It is one of the my favorite instrument could play because the melody of the song or the masterpiece are on the band one, but medyo mahirap na siya kasi kailangan siya ng fast learner, and then yung sa finger mo or sa hands should really prick sa inyohang the strings, that instrument. Then minsan nga na kubalan gani akong mga ubang classmates sa una when I were in elementary. So another is the octavina, and then also we have the bass guitar, and then yung bajo, and then the guitar, and then me, I play the instrument laud. So that is started on my grade 3 days to grade 6. So yun siya. Isa din siya na nakatulong sa akin to improve my academic thinking or my cognitive side because yung sa parts of my brain really functioned well. And then, ayun siya, we also having the, wala pala kaming competition dati na nasalihan dito sa Panabo. Ano lang siya, more on performance. So, naka-perform kami sa Panabo Gym, ay no, ARF Gym pala yun, and then sa Sindaton na gym. So, yun yung na-remember ko nung una. Okay, the aspects of the music is we have here the counterpoint that is frequently used interchangeably with the polyphony. This is not properly correct since polyphony refers generally to the music consisting of two or more distinct melodic lines, while the counterpoint refers to the compositional technique involved in the handling of these melodic lines. So again, polyphony is the melodic lines, while the counterpoint is the composition. So the first letter counterpoint is C, and then compositional technique is also C. That is CC for the mnemonics, para di kayo kalimot ng pag-memorize. So polyphonic PM or melodic lines. Also, we have here aspect the harmony. In music is the sound of two or more notes heard simultaneously. So harmony is also important in music, right? Because the more sound that or the more notes that you would hear, that would also engaging a very good listening of that music. And there's the instrumentation, the art of combining instruments and any sort of musical composition, including such diverse elements as the numerous combination used in chamber groups such as jazz bands, rock ensembles employing chorus, symphonic bands, and of course the symphony orchestra. So, and this instrumentation is also needed in, like for example, one of the tools or instrument to really play this music, like for example, jazz bands, di ba? May kakaibang mga instruments na kailangan dyan, mga saxophone, or, diba, or yung mga wind instrument, yan siya. And then number 4 is the musical composition, the act of conceiving a piece of music, the art of creating music, or the finished product. So, if there is a song na lalabas, diba, there should be a music composition if mostly ganyan siya na artist is di siya medyo nagsusulat ng mga composition, music composition like sina bago sumikat yung mga Hollywood artists, yung sila Lady Gaga, sila Ariana Grande, so they are music composer pa yan sila sa mga other artists like sila Adele, yun siya. And then before sila nag think na kailangan din nila na maging singer din, na sila yung nagko-compose ng mga kanta nila. So wala na silang binabayarang composer na magko-compose sa kanilang kanta kasi marunong din man sila mag-compose ng isang song. Next is the melody, a rhythmic succession of the single tones organized as an aesthetic whole. So this melody is the rhythm. So when it comes to when it comes to a music, so I also love listening this melody. So if maganda yung rhythm ng isang song, so binabalik-balikan ko yung pakinggan, and then minsan is memorize ko na yung lyrics na, and then hanggang sa feel ko na yung music, and it could give me some good vibes, yun siya. Sixth is the musical performance, step in the musical process during the which the musical ideas are realized and transmitted to a listener. So in Western music, the performance is most commonly viewed as an interpretive art. True, it is not always merely that. So in the musical performance, so there are some performers, to some degree determine aspects of any music they play, issues of the tempo, the phrasing, dynamics in some types of music, or the pitches and instrumentation are subject of the performance description. So some performers, diba, in the music theater, they have a good voice and also they are a good actors and actresses like their facial expression, damang-daman talaga nila yung teatro, and they have a very graceful na body movements, yun siya. Next is also we have here the music recording, a physical record of a musical performance that can then be played or reproduced. So this is now the after the composition of the song, yung singer is alam niya yun paano magkanta. So this is now the music recording na kailangan gawin na isang singer. Also, the musical notation is the visual record of heard or imagined the musical sound or set of visual instructions of for the performance of the music. It usually takes written or printed form and is a conscious, comparatively laborious process. From the word notation, that is the another visual record of heard that is also imagined on a musical sound or a set of visual instructions. So the notation or the note, high note or the low note of that certain masterpiece of music. Ninth is the rhythm. So the placement of sounds in time in its most general sense. The rhythm comes from the Greek word rhythmus or derived from the Greek word rain or to flow. So is an ordered alternation of contrasting elements. I also love to hear the different rhythm of every song that I want to listen because it gives the flow. So from the introduction sa music, yung first stanza niya, and then yung chorus, then second stanza, and then another chorus, and then bridge, and so on and so forth. Hanggang sa natapos kining kabuuan ng song. So yun siya. I love listening, go back to listen for the nth time or for how many times I listen that song. Unlike yung first song na yung first introduction pa lang is parang hindi siya maganda yung rhythm. So next, iba na namang song yung pinakikinggan ko. And then I am also particular in then listening new released music. I have uh, an application on my phone called this Spotify. So there is a new music Friday on Spotify every Friday. So there is a new released song. So any kind of song, it could be foreigner songs. I love listening to foreign song, those mga American artist song or any Filipino na songs. I also love doing that hobby. So, marami siyang kasikasin ng naang sa music. So we have here the genre. Genre, we have here blues. Is name given to the musical form and the music genre that emerged from the African American communities and the black cultural melting pot of the American South of the 1890s. So this blues, so I'm not familiar with this kind of genre. So I don't know if I listened. Yeah, it is more on African and American um communities were drawings on a fascinating mixture of these African American spirituals, traditional songs, work songs of the slaves, field hollers, shouts, and chants, folk ballads, European hymns, contemporary dance music, and the rhymed, simple narrative ballads. So African, so probably those what you call ano yung tawag doon na kanta, mga reggae. I think it's sila Bob Marley. I don't know, so I'm not uh, listening this kind of, di pa siya familiar sa akin na genre. Another is classical. So ito na-listen ko na to when I feel stressed or I am studying. So I listen to the classical music, yung mga instrumental lang na music. So encompassing a huge range of the subgenres, classical music refers broadly to most orchestral styles between 1750 and 1820. So to many people, anything a pre-jazz sounds classical may be referred to as such. So those mga pre-jazz sounds or music na classical. So good thing din siya pang relaxation, pang meditate, or like you are studying, uh, yung instruments lang yung mga pakikinggan mo, so walang mga lyric kasi yung minsan 'di ba yung mga music if you are memorize your song so di ka makafocus sa pag-study or pagbabasa kasi parang yung brain mo is kumakanta na din siya unlike your ito classical music is wala lang yung flow lang sa rhythm, sa music, sa instrument, yun siya. Next is country music. So I love also this kind of music and one of my favorite country music song is Taylor Swift. So, ito siya. I love this kind of music. So, parang chill-chill lang siya sa countryside, di ba? Like, you are just road tripping, going on province, just love with the air breeze, the coconut trees, yun siya. It is also called as country and western style of American popular music that originated in rural areas of the South and West in the early 20th century. So yun siya, it is originated in the rural area. So those in the provinces. So I also love this kind of music. Next is dance. Dance music is a far more modern genre that could also be broadly categorized as electronic music. So, yeah, there's uh, moves, bodily moves, or this electronic music, the beat, right? That you could dance, it could flow from your muscles, from your foot to your um, waist, di ba? Naggagalaw yung body muscles nyo that you love to dance, yun siya. Another is the drill music, an aggressive music from taking its cues from grime, rap, and dance music. So yung mga rap, dance, di ba, na you are very aggressive, na parang may inaaway ka, which is not. May binibigay ka lang mga mensahe. I also love rapping, the Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, and also Eminem, Machine Gun Kelly. So I also love those rappers. And then dito sa Pinoy is, hindi ako familiar yung mga flip, ano yun? Tawag nila flip top. So yun siya. And next is this dubstep, an evolution of garage and bass. It came to prominence in the early 2000s, borrowing the heavy bass lines and distorted tones used in drum and bass. Next is the emo, also called as emo core, subgenre of punk rock music that arose in the Washington, D.C. or District of Columbia. Also, we have here funk sa mga mostly sa emotion ito mga uh, black. They love wearing black. May malaking eyeliner na black, lipstick na black. So yun siya mga funk or punk people. Also is the grunge is bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam. Also the hip hop. So aside from the dance, so this is hip hop evolved out of a cultural um explosion in the United States. So if you've watched the movie Step Up, diba, it focuses this movie is focuses on the hip hop dance. So there is a certain group of dancers that they have a dream to really to perform. They love to dance. Then next is indie music. So I discovered this quarantine that I love this indie music. Parang yung rhythm niya, yung harmony niya is parang chill-chill lang and then hindi siya medyo popular yung mga indie band music, yung mga American indie band na minsan din is parang sadness siya yung tinatakal niya pero nakakalma din siya ng aking loob or damdamin. So this is another offshoot from rock and punk. Indie music came from so-called the independent artists and bands who were not part of the mainstream music industry machine. So yun siya, hindi siya very popular or common or famous na mga music kasi nga independent siya. So sila lang yung discover sa kanila. So I discover listening this indie pop music. So may magaganda silang mga genre, may magaganda silang taste type of music. So palagi ko na din siyang ah, pinakikinggan this lockdown period. Next is the jazz, historically seated in the New Orleans in the early 1990s. So jazz typifies musical flexibility not seen by many other genres, featuring a mix of rhythms and tempos as well as a focus on solo.